Do you sometimes feel a little bit anxious or maybe even depressed because everybody seems to be living this amazing life but you? If so, this week's episode is for you. We live in a world which is pretty transparent these days. With technology, with social media, it can be way easier to get more of an insight into people's lives. And I think that sometimes this can actually be pretty detrimental because we think that everybody is happy, we think that everybody's going on holiday, we think that everybody's relationships are great or their careers or businesses are blooming. But the truth is we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And this social media trend that isn't going away is something that we need to be more mindful of managing so that we don't fall deeper into this comparison syndrome, which is so easy for us to do. So if you find yourself feeling these emotions of anxiety or depression in some cases, I first want you to know that having emotions and quote unquote bad or negative emotions is not a bad thing. This is part of the human experience. This is the part of living wholeheartedly. Life is not always supposed to be happy. You need the light and the dark in order to appreciate the light, and the dark helps you kind of get back on track. And that's been the case in my journey. I was really depressed when I was in my corporate job. And if I didn't get to that state, I wouldn't have had that kick up the butt to go and do something because I just would have kept trotting along. So don't be afraid of these emotions. And if you feel like it is really serious, then, I'm not undermining that. Please go and see a professional and have that support to guide you through it. At the same time, I encourage you all to know that, one of the reasons why we are so depressed is not just because of social media and all this stuff happening out there, but it's really our interpretation of that. And it's the way that we speak to ourselves. We can be so harsh, we can be so critical, we can be so mean and say things to ourselves that we wouldn't dream of saying even to our best friend, So when you find yourself in that moment of being anxious and when you're being a little bit depressed, catch yourself. What are you thinking? What are the words you're using? If you make a mistake, do you berate yourself and say, oh, I'm such an idiot, I never get this right? When you make a mistake or maybe you speak out of turn or, something happens with a friend, do you say, you're completely unlovable, why you don't even deserve to have friends like this? Catch yourself and think about how harsh you're speaking to yourself and take a moment. Would you say this to a friend? Would you say this to your daughter? Would you speak to anybody like this? And if you find yourself, oh gosh, I do speak to myself negatively, okay, first step is awareness. You know that, so that's great, and you can start to change it. So if you do have that thought, then switch it around and just make it less severe. So Carol Dweck, who wrote this book, Mindset, The Psychology of Success, she's a Stanford professor, and she talks about the way people see things and the words they use. So I think there's a direct correlation here actually with successful people as well. When they make a mistake or when something doesn't go according to plan, they don't use such harsh criticism on themselves, right? So if they make a mistake, they don't say, I'm an idiot, I never get things right, I'm never going to be a successful CEO. They say, okay, I made a mistake, what do I learn? Okay, I'm going to make sure I learn from this and I'll do better next time. Can you see how it has a very different feel and a very different energy about it? And it kind of relieves the pressure. You don't have to get everything perfect. You don't have to make every step along your journey completely beautiful. And like an Instagram feed, it can be ugly, it can be messy, you can ugly cry on the couch, that's perfectly okay. So those are my two things for you. It's okay to feel emotions, let yourself feel them. And what I like to do is actually 90 seconds of truly feeling it. And what you find is that rather than resist, if you let yourself feel it, it'll wash over you and you'll get to the other side. So try that. At the same time, number two, catch yourself with the words that you're using to yourself in that situation and see if you can make some positive changes and reduce the tone. You might still feel like an idiot, but rather than call yourself, I'm an idiot, just say, oh, I made such a silly mistake. It's the behavior, not you, that is the idiot. Maybe it was idiotic behavior, but you yourself are not fundamentally an idiot. You just made a wrong choice, and that's okay. So keep going after that career dream of yours. There is no one in the world who can do what you do the way you do it. When you start to speak nicely to yourself and show up with, positivity and with love and compassion, people will feel that. People will respect you for it, and you'll start to call in people who respect you too, and you'll be able to extend that love out to others. I think we all need that in the world today. Sending you lots of love, and I'll catch you next week.